I'm Karen Foley here in the library with Authors Night. Our guest is Alan Stillson, and two of the several things that Mr. Stillson has written are going to be discussed today. Two books. One is called the Mensa Genius ABC Quiz Book, and the second is called 2-Minute Brain Teasers. So as we begin talking, I'm going to urge you to please get a pencil and a paper because we will be having some questions that I'm sure you'll want to address to see if you, too, are of Mensa quality. Now, Mr. Stillson, in addition to these two books, you've written others, have you not? I mean, you're a prolific writer. You do more than the Mensa books, correct?
Oh, yes, I've written a bunch.
Such as?
Such as, my newest are ebooks, and I have one that's especially geared for seniors. It's called Puzzles for 50s fans and 60s savorers. And these are nice, gentle brain exercises, especially geared for people who are seniors. And every single one of these questions makes reference to something about the 50s or the 60s. So a little brain exercise combined with a little fun nostalgia, and I think it's a great read.
Okay. Now, what led you to write a book, the books that we're discussing today, the Mensa books? You are a member of Mensa.
Yes.
How long have you been a member?
Since 1987.
Okay, and you're living here in the Sherman Oaks area, am I right?
Woodland Hills.
Woodland Hills, okay. And what is your background generally? Where did you go to school? What did you study? And how did you get involved in Mensa?
Okay, well, I got my degrees. I'm from New York, as if you can't tell from the accent, and got my bachelor and master's degrees in good old Queens College, and moved west some years later, and got another master's, an MBA. Worked in the business world for a while, and kind of retired a little bit early from the business world, and I'm now a mathematics professor. So I use my master's in math to do that. I've always been writing puzzles as far as back as I can remember. And I like to just write them, challenge people. It's a lot of fun. You come up with some idea that you think works. And after I joined Mensa, I realized that our local publication, Greater Los Angeles Area Mensa, it was called Lament at the time, did not have a puzzle column. And I thought it might be nice to volunteer to write one. So I started writing it back in the late 80s. Around 1996, I found out that one of the Mensa authors of some of the official American Mensa puzzle books decided that she was going to retire. She felt she had written the last book she had in her, and the rest was going to be calendar reprints and such. If you are a fan of Mensa puzzles, you might recognize her name is Dr. Abby Salney. Her name is on many of those calendars that you can still buy that have puzzles. So I made arrangements with Dr. Salney and with the publisher, who at the time was Addison Wesley, and with American Mensa to kind of take over the role of being one of the official Mensa authors. And my first book, which is this, the Mensa Genius ABC Quiz Book, was accepted back around 1996, and it got released in 1998, and that was the first of many. I've always enjoyed writing them, and I still do.
What is the meaning of the word Mensa?
The word Mensa, very interesting. If the word Mensa in Spanish is anything but smart, it's somebody who is not smart. However, Mensa was started in England, and it's a three-way pun. The root words of Mensa, you have mentality, and then you have table is also connected to Mensa, and then you have the word month. So the idea was that once a month, a lot of smart people would gather around the table and compare notes on a myriad of topics. Started back in 1946 in England. And that's what Mensa is about. So, yeah, the name stuck, and it's still being used today. Although Spanish-speaking people often wonder, that seems like a funny word for a society of people with high IQs.
It's sort of a round table of high intellectual people.
Right, who used to meet once a month.
And the logo is a table.
Mensa doesn't really have much of a logo. It's got an M sign to it, and that's about it. In fact, I don't even think you'll see it on these particular books, because the main focus on that is the puzzles as opposed to the fact that it's sponsored by Mensa.
Now, where are the Mensa organizations? Is it mainly Britain and the United States, or is it international?
Most of our members are from English-speaking countries, and you'll find most of them in America, Britain, Canada, and to a smaller degree, Australia. We have a few members who live in places like France and Germany, but not a whole lot.
Now, what divides them? What is the scale of from 100 up, or down, or the percentage of people who are in Mensa? What percentage of the population is Mensa, and how high does their IQ need to be?
Great question. Okay, Mensa, in order to be a member, you have to verify that you're in the top 2% of IQs. And the IQ has to be from a reliable source, such as one of the established IQ tests that are given. And the Stanford Binet is probably the most popular. And a score of 132 or higher on the Stanford Binet would qualify somebody for Mensa.
So that's like the top 2%.
Top 2%, yes. Mm-hmm.
Do you apply? Do you write Mensa? Do they send you a test? How do you become a member?
Okay, most people who are interested in Mensa will look up Mensa online, and they will find the website that'll give all the information. And then it'll also refer them to local Mensa groups, such as Greater Los Angeles. And if a person is interested in joining Mensa, then they can make arrangements to take 2 different IQ tests. And if you score sufficiently high on either one of them, then you're in. And people join Mensa because it's a social organization. First and foremost, it's a place where people with high IQs can meet other people with high IQs. And you have some great discussion groups, puzzling groups, a lot of nice social activities. And for people who've ever gone through the experience of being smart in junior high and high school and such, and have been teased because of it, or
teased because they're smart?
Oh yeah, you know, Mr. Smarty Pants. There goes the geek. There goes the nerd. And a lot of times, people growing up that way, as soon as they would open their mouth and use a sophisticated word, they knew that some of the other kids were going to tease them. In Mensa, you could just be yourself. There's never a fear of using a high-level vocabulary word, or maybe letting people know that you have a PhD in physics or something like that.
So you go to a meeting, and what are the meetings comprised of?
Depends, because we don't have really very many general meetings in Greater Los Angeles Mensa. They're mostly special interest groups. So people who like discussions on controversial topics will go ahead and join a special group where it's nothing but discussions on controversial topics. There are some of the groups that tend to have political leanings, although Mensa itself is politically neutral, doesn't take a position on anything. But some of the groups are mostly conservative. Some of the groups are mostly liberal. We have groups who are mostly atheists. We have some who are Christians. And the key thing is that everybody who belongs is well-read, well-rounded, capable of thinking and understanding other people's points of view. And that's just the discussions. Then you have many of the social activities. We have a regional gathering coming up with a ton of presentations, all kinds of social activities. I, for one, this Friday night, are going to be leading what's called a Beatnik Cafe. We're going to have an open mic, and we're going to have kind of a coffee shop environment like they used to have back in Greenwich Village in the 50s. People will recite poetry, they'll sing their favorite folk song, they'll maybe just tell everybody how they feel about what's going on in the world and how to make it a better world, and it'll be open mic. Unfortunately, I'm going to be going up against the pub crawl. So I have a feeling that for everybody who makes the beat in the cafe, there'll probably be at least 4 or 5 at the pub crawl. So we have quite a diverse group when it comes to what they like to do.
Now, we are going to take a break, but I would like to tell our TV audience that during this break, there will be questions put up on the screen. So write down the questions and take a few moments to answer them. And later on, we will present the answers. And all of these questions, there's only about 6 of them, are taken from the Mensa quiz book. So it should be fun. They're not too hard. And I hope that you'll enjoy them and come back to Alan Stillson and our Author's Night.
Number 1. What do these words have in common? Elite, tempt, civic, label, hatch. Number 2. What's next? Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, Chile, Colombia. Number 3. What do these words share? Bold, able, warm, cold, full. Number 4. Give me the real name of the song title that is associated with a movie, and the song title changed around is Elevated Aspirations. Number 5. Give me the movie title instead of the florid hint. Taurus, spelled Taurus, throwing a tantrum. Bonus question. A limerick puzzle. What is it? The limerick is, I'm amazing 'cause I got the force to hold down a cow or a horse. As you've doubtlessly found, I am always around, and I'm constantly working, of course.
We're back with Alan Stillson. I hope you've had a chance to write down those questions and take a few moments now and again to answer them. And we will give you the answers later. I'd like to continue the conversation on Mensa. Can you say if there are any particular professions that are highly represented in your group? Do they run the gamut of all different professions? What would you say your membership is usually comprised of? Are there more men than women or vice versa?
There are probably almost an equal number of men and women. There are probably more single people than married people or people in a monogamous relationship. Have a lot of singles. And as far as professions go, we do have a lot of teachers, a lot of retired teachers, a lot of engineers, and a lot of people who just seem to enjoy doing things that are intellectual but don't have necessarily a high intellectual type of job. Might be just a regular quote-unquote worker, store manager, there are people who work in libraries. And we welcome them all.
Okay, now what about giving back to the intellectual community? Do you just take in the members and enjoy one another? Do you encourage others to join? Do you help with their education? Are there any scholarships, anything that Mensa does
Yes, our biggest
Philanthropy-wise?
Oh yeah, yeah. We set up scholarships for people who have high IQs, kids who might want to be able to get into college and wouldn't otherwise be able to afford them or don't qualify for one of the other types of scholarships. And that is our MERF, or Mensa Education and Research Fund. And that's set up mainly for that purpose. Way before I wrote my books, starting with Dr. Salney, and probably going back before that, when Isaac Asimov, for instance, did some Mensa books, the percent of the royalties goes to Mensa, and most of the money that goes to Mensa is for that particular purpose. So every time that somebody buys one of our official Mensa puzzle books, some money is helping out a student somewhere who would like to go to college and would find that this particular scholarship is their path.
How do you make the scholarships known to the high schoolers?
Through a lot of letters and emails and such from Mensa to people in the educational community, just to let them know that it exists. And every time that there's an annual gathering at Mensa, there's always some discussion on how better to make this fact known. So the usual way, you do a lot of networking, and you try to let as many people know as possible.
What was your impetus to join the group?
It was a very interesting thing. I never really thought of it too much before, and then one time my wife was going for a little minor surgery, so I had a few hours to kill while she was recovering. So I go down to the hospital bookstore, and there is one of Abby Salney's puzzle books. And said to myself, you know what, I think this will be a fun way to pass a few hours. So I start working the puzzles, and I realize that, my goodness, I think I'm getting most of these right. Maybe I'm smarter than I think I am. So anyway, after that, I figured that, you know, this might be a nice organization to get into. I found out a little bit about Greater Los Angeles Mensa and some of the special interest groups that they have, the discussions. They even had a folk singing group, and I'm very big into folk singing.
Are you? I am too.
Oh, yes.
I used to be a folk singer years and years and years ago.
Great. And anyway, so I decided, you know, I'm going to take this test and see if I qualify. And I went to some office of some savings and loan a long time ago. Went to the little community room. There were a bunch of us taking a couple of IQ tests, and I found out that I qualified. After that, I joined, and I've been a pretty active member ever since then.
Did you bring your friends and family into it as well?
Well, friends, yes. Family, one was enough. But a lot of people qualify for Mensa, but don't necessarily want to join a social organization for people with high IQs. So it's not everybody's cup of tea, but it certainly was mine.
Now, when I have read Mensa quizzes, and I do that on the airplane, they always have maybe a dozen questions in the airplane magazine. It covers a gamut of panoply of different types of subject matter.
Right.
Mathematics, as well as word puzzles, thinking out of the box, questions, geography, history. Your specialty is word games?
Word puzzles, yes.
Word puzzles. How long have you done the word puzzles?
Oh, since right around the mid to late 80s. And I used to just play around writing some of those before that. But the first time that I ever had any in print was with Greater Los Angeles Area Mensa's publication. And that's been many, many years now. And they're mostly word puzzles, although I write a few math puzzles there too. I don't find there's much of a market for math puzzles.
But they're not as much fun as.
It depends on how well you
That's
know
true.
your
My
math.
husband's a math major, and he considers them very much, very amusing and very interesting, the math puzzles, where I
Oh,
tend to
sure.
go for word puzzles.
Oh, yeah, and then sometimes you can actually combine the two topics. In a recent puzzle, I had something that came out to pi, and then something that came out to G, and if you put the two together, you get a pig. So, you can get all kinds of combinations where the math and the words go together very nicely
You
at
may be
times.
the only second person I've ever met that celebrates National Pie Day.
I do.
Do you really?
Oh, yes.
Well, there's someone in my family who celebrates it also.
Ah, very good. And of course, it's on March
Yes,
14th.
it's coming up.
3.14. Uh-huh.
Okay, now let's see. But when I met you, you had introduced a play,
Yes,
not a Mensa book, it was a play.
true.
Now, what was the play? Miss Minerva?
Well, it's called Thank You, Minerva.
Thank You,
and,
Minerva.
Yeah, we had a production of it this past summer at the Secret Rose Theater in North Hollywood. We're hoping to get some future productions. I'm working on some negotiations as we speak to see if people in Los Angeles and in other parts of the country will have a chance to see it. And it's a musical. I also write and produce musicals as well.
Do you really?
Yes.
And what do you teach when you teach at Valley College?
No, I teach mathematics.
Mathematics.
Uh-huh. So, my day job is as a mathematics professor. Before I came here, I finished up teaching a math class at Valley College. And after here, I'll be going to Pasadena College to teach math class.
But how did you get involved in writing a play?
Well, some people tell me I was born with what's called the math music gene. And from a very early age, I understood, the concepts of music. I was doing math from the time I was just a little kid. And it just comes very easily to me. And anyway, they're both a few interests that I have.
Okay, now, but in your meetings and your roster, are there many celebrities that belong to Mensa?
Gina Davis
Really?
is a member. Alan Rachins, who was in L.A. Law, and I think Dharma and Greg. They're probably our best known celebrities. The lead female singer of the group that did I'm Mr. Blue back in the 1950s. That's it. Yeah, Gretchen somebody. Anyway, she was a member of Mensa for many years as well. So, we've had our share of celebrities and probably some people who are very well accomplished but aren't necessarily all that famous.
You said something about the music math gene.
Yes.
Is there a connection?
Some people say that there is, that sometimes the ability to understand music and the theory behind it and the chords and how melodies work and what's pleasing to the ear is very mathematical. There were some definite mathematical structures that Mozart used when he composed. And apparently there is some relationship between those who feel comfortable composing music and those who are good at mathematics.
Are there any well-known composers that you think were Mensa mentality?
Oh, clearly Mozart. Mozart was a brilliant person in every aspect of life. Leonard Bernstein was an absolute genius. And of course, we think of Leonard Bernstein as the conductor of the New York Philharmonic, but he also wrote the music to West Side Story, among others. And just a brilliant guy. So, yes, I think many of the great composers probably were very smart. I would have to assume that Tchaikovsky was as well. he was known to also be quite an intellect.
Okay. Well, so you've done plays, you've done books, you teach math. Have we left out anything that you find of great interest that you feel has been a great part of your life, like all of this, like the music and like your words and your thinking?
I like to think that it's very important that people get an opportunity to exercise their minds at all ages in their life. And a lot of the puzzle book writing that I do is for that purpose, to give people a tool to keep their minds going, exercised, sharp, do what you can. Try to develop the ability to think a little bit more abstractly where possible. And certainly as people get older, now that I
was going to go back to the seniors.
Yeah, I just hit 68. So, and a lot of my contemporaries are already retired, and some of them I think are not spending enough time doing crosswords, Sudoku, just straight reading, or working on brain teaser type of puzzles. And anyway, I think this is a perfectly good way to do it. Also, starting out in grade school, this is my other one, which goes most for anybody at any age. This is called Brain Warmer-Uppers, and a very suitable book, a first way that maybe somebody who is a good student in elementary school, and many students by the time they hit middle school or high school level should be able to do, and can really benefit from the idea of combining facts with things like letter play and word play. And to me, this is a very important thing. I want to see our American populace as educated and as sharp as possible. And sometimes getting turned on to things like word puzzles and other forms of intellectual exercise can open up the doors to maybe taking that extra step, becoming the next great inventor or whatever. So, oh yeah, I'm very dedicated to the future of America. In fact, one of my shows was all about love of America. But I also want to see American people just get as much as possible out of life when it comes to the mind. I think it's very, very important to do that. And I feel very, very good being a part of that, part of the community who educates and who inspires.
Well, let's take a quick break now, then we'll get to your future plans. But during this break, we'll put up the answers.
Okay.
And let's see how our audience does.
Sure. Number 1, what do these words have in common? Elite, tempt, civic, label, hatch. They begin and end with the same letter. Number 2, what's next? Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, Chile, Colombia. Answer, Ecuador. They're in South America and in alphabetical order. Number 3, what do these words share? Bold, able, warm, cold, full. Answer, they're adjectives. Number 4, give me the real name of the song title that is associated with a movie. And the song title changed around is Elevated Aspirations. Answer, High Hopes. Number 5, give me the movie title instead of the florid hint. Taurus, spelled Taurus, throwing a tantrum. Answer, Raging Bull. Bonus question, a limerick puzzle. What is it? The limerick is, I'm amazing 'cause I got the force to hold down a cow or a horse. As you've doubtlessly found, I am always around, and I'm constantly working, of course. And the answer is gravity.
It's Karen Foley Authors Night, and our author guest today, Alan Stillson. And we have been discussing the Mensa quiz and hoping that you did a good job on it and that you'll be here with us a little longer to go into some of the things that our seniors can do. I was telling Mr. Stillson that we have a very active senior group. It's called Savvy Seniors, and we're looking forward to a senior center being built for them, and the importance of the senior mind keeping as active and as flexible as humanly possible. So, Mr. Stillson, be happy if you could tell us how you find that and what you think that the senior mind should and could do to keep itself active and as sharp as it is now.
Sure. With every passing day beyond a certain age, I think scientists have determined that a certain number of brain cells die. And it's just, the natural part of aging. But I think a lot of research indicates that you can do things to renew some of those brain cells and just keep them going well for a much longer period of time. My wife, for instance, loves to do Sudokus, and many, many other people do it. It's a great way to use logic to exercise your mind. And depending on the level of difficulty, some of the Sudokus aren't horribly frustrating. They can be done. And it's the same with crossword puzzles, with reading a book, learning something new, challenging yourself to learn French or Spanish, maybe taking on a musical instrument. And my thing is these brain teaser type of puzzles. So, for instance, for seniors who have very fond memories of the 1950s and maybe want to combine those memories with a little bit of letter or word play, what they could find in this particular book would be just numerous one at a time little challenges that they could do. For instance, if the topic were major movie titles of the 1950s, the very first question I have in the book is a streetcar named, and then I have two of the letters in the word desire. But if maybe somebody forgot, gee, what was the name of that streetcar? Was it named Johnny? No. Was it named Marlon? No, he was the guy who was in the movie. And oh yeah, but the D and the I in there might help remember desire. So if you don't get it from your memory, you can get it sometimes from the letter clues. And so it's basically a two-way thing for somebody to answer the question. And if we have, for instance, another great movie from the 50s, Double, and then the other word, double. There might be a lot of movies that started with the word double, but the first letter of the second word is an I. And that might get that mind thinking on, double I. Was it double identity? No, double indemnity. And be able to work it out in a manner like that. And that's kind of the way that the human mind works. Every time you challenge yourself to do a quick little puzzle like this, you're helping yourself. You're helping that mind last longer. And the longer that the mind lasts, the longer your whole self lasts. And that's one of the reasons that I wrote this. And to make it convenient for people, I now have it. I've gone past the old stereotype. Somebody once told me, don't write an ebook or a download type of thing for seniors. None of them like to use computers. I'm seeing a big change on that. And so, yeah, you got a few Luddites out there who still don't like to use computers, but many, many do. And they have their Kindles and Nooks and, of course, their desktop computers at home and can enjoy this without paying a lot of money or having to wait until it gets shipped. So the price is less and the convenience is more.
Everybody I spoke to when they heard I had the books had it be asked questions. So everyone enjoyed them. And
yeah.
I think that as I say goodbye to you and to thank you, I would like to encourage our audience to try them because, as you said before, well, maybe everyone is smarter than they think they are. And to leave, I want to thank you very much. I enjoyed meeting you the first time and so pleased that we could see each other again. And my pleasure and our honor to have you as a guest here for Authors Night. I want to thank the library, the City of Calabasas, and our Media Operations Department. And to the people in our audience, words from Albert Einstein, who was probably one of the smartest of us all. And he has said about himself, "It's not that I'm so smart, I just stay with problems longer." So stick with it, and you too will succeed. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, and thank you especially Alan Stillson for today.
Well, thank you.